So, hello there, Solon. Dr. Solon.
Ew, not my nickname.
This thing of mental health, the mental health field. So, I have a few questions for you.
Okay, I'm down.
What do you think of the mental health field? Just tell me about that.
That is a very broad question.
What does mental health mean to you?
Being mentally healthy, right, to me means like that you are in a good space. You're feeling positive. You have healed some, past like traumas, past things that have happened, maybe negative experiences. You have been able to not just heal them, but to go maybe sometimes go back to those experiences and assign a new meaning to them, which I found has been quite beneficial in my own mental health journey. But mental health is such a big, wide topic. So it's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. Yeah. So, mental health, everyone goes through traumas and everything. But can you think of a time that you have specifically tapped in to mental health, whether it's mental health, mental wealth, positive or negative experience? When was it when you actually focused on mental health in your own life?
Oh man, every day. Like I can say actually every single day. Like I think that is the purpose of meditation. I think that meditation is, we can have different practices that we have every single day, every single week, every single month, right? Depending on like what you actually do, what habits you have chosen to undertake in order to ensure your well-being overall, right? Mentally, physically, spiritually, all those things. So for me, it really is my meditation. Like I take that time to quiet my mind and to really set the tone every single morning for my day. And so it's like, sometimes during meditation, we'll have, some thoughts, sometimes negative thoughts try to creep in and you block those out. But sometimes, like, not all thoughts that you think during meditation have to be negative or shooed away. So, it's just basically, sometimes things come up during those times that I'm meditating that, I am able to recognize that I can actually think about something in a different way, whether it's something that happened in my business, something that happened in my personal life, relationships, those sorts of things. It's being able to reframe certain situations so that I can positively move forward because yeah, nobody has time to stay in the negative mode of thinking or feeling or anything like that. And a lot of times, like, everything is hindsight 2020. You start to think about like past situations and things that happen, and sometimes I just find myself laughing out loud, like, I can't believe that really was my life or that really happened. And yeah, then just finding a way to go, man, I've come a long way and I am excited about even what's to come in the future. So yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel that way completely, okay? Because I wrote a whole book on, all my past struggles. And actually, when I started to write that book, it was to like get it out of me. And I didn't actually think that I was gonna publish it, like things that should be between you and your therapist, you and your partner, when you're laid up in the
Yeah.
bed just chilling. I put in the book. So it was kind of just like and like most of those things, with trauma, you tend to, block it out or numb it out, and then it becomes a thing of the past, and you're just like living your life and you don't even realize it anymore. So, like, when I read my book back, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, girl, what happened next? Like, I'll
Mhm.
really be reading it, but like, I definitely get that. And then that's when I kind of started on this whole motivational speaking and like being inspired and being motivated every single day of my life. So,
Mhm.
getting a life schedule together. Like I'm about to start going to the gym, girl. It's about
Ooh.
yes, I'm about to start going to the gym. I already started gaining my weight. taking my protein powder and stuff. So I'm just ready to gain this muscle now.
Okay,
So it's
get it,
not
get
just
it.
a mindset thing, it's a physical thing, it's a spiritual thing also. Like working in a church helps me with my spiritual attitude.
Hmm. Definitely. And that's very brave of you to put that in a book, like your life experiences. I always commend anyone who's willing to speak out about, past traumas and experiences in life, even if they're good things, but especially like the negative things that a lot of people want to just brush under the rug sometimes, like you said, sometimes those traumas are there that we don't really realize as we're going about our lives. And then like something will come up in life and it causes us to remember like, oh yeah, I remember this happened. And when we're going about life sometimes, especially like sometimes there's just trauma that you cannot escape, like it's just in your face. But then there's some trauma that you don't even realize was trauma at the time, and you're going along your life and all of a sudden something happens that triggers, an emotional response from you or something, psychological response that brings up something that was in the past. So yeah, I always like to commend people who are willing to put their stuff out there because I feel like the more that we talk about stuff, the better we're able to help other people to overcome or avoid those same kinds of experiences. And there was something else I was going to say too, but I completely forgot it. Oh, one of the things that I teach a lot to my clients and in my business is, we don't teach from wounds, we teach from scars. And so we teach from those places and areas that we have healed from, because we don't want to teach from wounds that are still open, and that are still healing, because that can further, I feel, damage us as well as somebody else who might be listening to what it is that you have to say. So
Yeah, I completely agree. Like when I first started writing this book, it was because I felt stuck, actually. Like I felt stuck and I felt like I couldn't move forward. And once I released it, it was like, okay, that was like it. Like now that it was I had to absolutely move forward, and like push myself. So it was a big motivator in that. So my next question is, have you ever been to therapy?
this is a good question. Yes, of course I have. I think everybody should go.
At what age, if you want to share, did you start to go to therapy? Or are you still in therapy? Did you go? Like, did it help? What is it?
So I have not had an in-person therapist since I moved. I did go to therapy, but I didn't start therapy until late. And it was because of a super traumatic experience. I went through like this whole thing that I won't really get into, but it was like romantic relationship related. Basically I was engaged to a guy, got disengaged, like it was a whole entire deal. There was that one instance of domestic violence, as far as physical abuse goes, but looking back, it was like mental, psychological, like all sorts of stuff. Like I was losing weight and I didn't even realize until I looked up and I was like so skinny, and I was like, that it was literally making me physically ill to be in that situation. And so when I got out of that situation, it was in 2017. So yeah, how old was I? I was like 30, I was like 30, almost 30, going on 30. And yeah, that was the first time I ever really like went to seek a therapist, and I feel like, I mean, I feel like sometimes we are like, oh, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? And we look back and we like, but I don't feel like people should blame themselves for what they didn't know. Like I heard people talking about therapy and all of those things. So I don't hold myself, like I don't blame myself for not going to therapy earlier. However, I do realize, like, I feel that everybody should, take part in some form of therapy or counseling at an earlier age. Even I look at the transition from high school to college, if that's your path, even that, I feel like, go talk to a therapist, go talk to a counselor. And I know we have guidance counselors, but sometimes guidance counselors, at least in my experience, they have a caseload, they have a bunch of kids in a school, and sometimes you have just a few guidance counselors. Depending on how big your school is, you might have one guidance counselor, and imagine them like having to see everybody, and not really having the time, not that they don't want to maybe, but just the time to help you unpack those emotions and feelings and getting prepared. Like, so, you even look at things like that, whereas we might not even see that as a traumatic experience, but it's a huge change in your life. It's where you transition essentially from being a kid into adulthood. And then you have the transition even after college. It's like, I look back on that now and I'm like, I was still a baby, even after college, like I was still a kid trying to figure out life, And so I feel like there's therapy doesn't always mean let me go when I have this super traumatic, negative, emotional experience, or when it's too heavy, or when I'm like crying every night, and every day, or I'm losing a bunch of weight or whatever have you. But therapy means like, let me sometimes just maintain my emotional health, my psychological health, my total well-being. There's maintenance required. It's like you said, mentioned going to the gym. I've been on my gym journey too, and it's like, you don't stop going once you hit your goal weight, which I hit my goal weight last week. I was so excited.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I came in like a 0.1 pound under my goal weight. So I was really excited about that. But you don't stop. Like tomorrow I'm gonna wake up, and I celebrated all weekend, which don't tell my trainer. So I had like sweets and pizza and all this stuff. So I'm like, oh God, I probably like put on another 2 pounds, but
You
whatever.
deserve it.
Thank you. I do feel like that. I feel like, we work very hard and we deserve to reward ourselves. And so, it's one of those things like, but tomorrow I'll be back in the gym, for the rest of the week, and I'll be eating clean for the rest of the week. And so it's these things that I do to maintain, what I've been able to accomplish. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to therapy and just mental health and mental well-being overall.
Yes, I agree with that. I love how you said that it's like maintenance, Don't go once you hit rock bottom. Like that was me, like I started to go to therapy after I went to a mental institution. And I talk about this all the time. I wrote it in my book, I'm very open with it. But yes, do not go when you hit rock bottom. That's very, very bad. I was sitting at my work desk, and I was, doing nothing at all. And I would just start tearing up, and I'd have to run to the bathroom, and then I'd have a panic attack. That was terrible. Because I had to make a living, I had to go to an outpatient program instead of an inpatient program. And I'm like, you guys, like therapy really is like maintenance on your body, because you can burn out just like you do in work, just like you do in education, just like you do, even being a mom, or, just even working out. You could burn out at one point, you know what I mean? So having those cheat days is so important. It's like maintenance.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 of them this weekend. So I was like, woo, child.
Yes. So I'm not okay. I want to get into the lighter side of mental health. Do you have an awkward story concerning going to therapy?
That's a good one. I mean, I don't think necessarily like awkward for my therapist, but just like saying things, like sitting there and like going over stories and stuff, or like feelings and stuff, it sometimes can make you feel awkward. Like, did I just say too much? Did this lady write too many notes, or this guy is like super quiet, like, did I say the wrong thing, or did I reveal too much? Are they in shock? Like, what is going on? And so I just think it could just feel super awkward. But it's one of those things, like meditation has been great for me because it allows me to remember who I am, at the top of every day, and step into that power and understand like nobody's life is perfect. Like a doctor needs a doctor, a coach needs a coach, a therapist needs a therapist, a lawyer needs a lawyer, and so it's like everybody's human, we're all people. And I think that a lot of my friends talk about trying therapy and then saying like therapy wasn't for them. But in my opinion, as I've told them, you got to find the right person. Like you got to find the therapist that you connect with, who you feel you can trust, who's going to be a safe space for you. And it doesn't have to feel so awkward, because you can tell one therapist one thing, you can tell another therapist the same thing, and it just be two different experiences. And so you just have to figure out like who you connect with. But yeah, as far as awkward, it's just having the wrong therapist, and not feeling like I overshared, which is
Yes.
a good feeling in therapy. So because you want to be able to tell somebody all the stuff so you can just get it out. And yeah, so I say that was probably awkward for me, maybe not for them, I don't know.
Yeah, I totally get that because when I'm talking to my therapist, I have a therapist that I actively see now. And, we meet weekly. And sometimes, when I talk about my past, like I'll say something really traumatic. And then there's that long pause.
Mhm.
Like, hello. It takes her a minute to gather her thoughts and like, I guess, see how to respond to it. But she's a really good therapist. Like she's been my therapist for almost 3 years now. And I have it fixated towards all of my needs, like Christian based, a woman, different things that you want in a therapist. And
Right.
one thing on my social media that I do is that I make reels and funny short 6 to 10 minute video clips of client therapist interactions. And I try to bring awareness to the mental health field by, just having fun with it and trying to, get people to laugh, but still, sharing a serious note in my caption or, just a personal experience in my caption to like let people know that, hey, like I relate to this. And therapy is actually a great thing because in the process of therapy, it's going to be pain, it's going to be joy too. You know what I mean? It's going to be both sides of it. And you just have to be willing to go through that process to get to the other side of your next. You're going through the now, but you want to get to that next. So it's
Yeah.
actually, not so bad at all because there is this negative, stigmatism around therapy at some points, especially with the older generation, you know what I mean? And definitely this younger generation, day-to-day conversations, like I always see the memes. It's like, oh, hey, what did you do today? Oh, I talked to my therapist, just like it's just a normal thing. And it should be normal. Like the more we talk about it, the more normal it should be and the more awareness that we bring to it to say this is normal and come be a part of the culture basically.
Yeah.
So
Cause I think about that too. And you're absolutely right. Like a lot of older people are like, I don't need therapy. I just got Jesus. And I'm like, that's awesome. And you should definitely have Jesus. But also like there's this other like resource available to you, that God can use therapists to help you out, so that you can be able to just release some of like the pressure, because there's a lot going on a lot of times. And sometimes we don't want to carry it all on our own. But on the flip side, I know that, I don't know, like I love listening to people. Being a therapist per se, my faces would just give me away. Like I don't know how they do it. Like I don't know how y'all do it, because literally I feel like I would be like,
yeah.
right? Like not like judging someone, but just like that's
Yeah,
rough.
like wow.
Yeah.
Like when I talk to my clients and they tell me, their crazy stories of what they're going through, and I'm like, well, girl, I went through that in 2020, or I went through that. Then, I tell them something that happened that I went through, and they're like, are you crazy like me? What happened? So I'm able to tell them, like, I can relate to you, like I've been through this. This is why I'm so passionate about what I'm, passionate about. And the Christian based thing of it is, I'm so happy you brought that up, because I'm actually continuing my education in like Christian based counseling, so
Nice.
that I can, bring that culture together and say, hey, in the Bible, it says this, and relate it to therapy and say, like, Jesus wants you to be, healed, just like, if you have indigestion, wouldn't you take a Tums? Wouldn't you take some Pepto-Bismol? If you was constipated, wouldn't you take a laxative? You know what I mean? Like, if you got anxiety, wouldn't you take some anxiety medicine? It's literally a chemical imbalance. So bringing awareness to these things is just so important.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important. That's awesome. I'm very proud of your growth and, watching you just navigate like this career path. But also, I love to see, you and others who just you take your experiences, because that's something I really believe in, even in my own business. That's what I teach, is take your experiences and use them to empower other people. Don't just keep that stuff to yourself. Now, again, teach from your scars and not your wounds. But if you're feeling a passion for, being able to take and say, hey, my life experiences mean something, and I know that there's somebody else who might be experiencing the same thing, and this is how I can help them by continuing to share my journey and continuing to share the things that I've been able to overcome, to be, give somebody hope, give somebody the empowerment and the encouragement that they need to continue forward, and that they can do it too. Like, I think that's so important. So just watching you navigate, from your own personal challenges to being able to be an inspiration and empower other people is beautiful to watch. And now taking that even a step further as you grow your relationship with God, and wanting to develop your business into a Christian based business. Like, I think that's very beautiful, and I'm sure there's much more to come. So kudos to you.
Thank you so much. And can we tell the people on this channel, because I know it's your first time on my channel, can we tell the people who I am to you? I am your baby sister.
You're my baby sister. My
Yes.
baby sister.
If you guys didn't see the resemblance.
The resemblance.
I'm a little nasally here.
I know. But yeah, that's my baby sister who I get to be proud of. So I love you, girlfriend.
And I'm proud of you. I'm talking to a doctor who has her own business, who's, busy on social media, not only that, but she's, in the background meeting with so many people to grow their business, and growing her own at the same time, which that is just a great accomplishment. So I'm very proud of you also. And you are a great motivator and inspiration.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, so I can't wait to have you, again.
Yeah, this is really good. I'm sure we can continue this conversation forever. But yeah, I would love to come back.
Yes, absolutely. So you guys, again, these are my books, Diary of the Brokenhearted as a Woman and Shaken to Become Unshaken. And if you guys want to buy a copy, you guys can go right to my website, www.journeywithjonna.com, or you can go to any bookstore online, ship it to you, do anything you want, but it's in all bookstores everywhere near you. So get a copy, okay? So
yes,
I'll talk to you guys later. Yes.
Copies.
Yes. Look at your success, process, and you stay blessed.